Why are Hispanic countries not pioneer in technology? What happened? What happened to our industries? This is the question of many of us. But did you know that it wasn't like that all the time? Did you know there was a moment when we were a world power? Yes, in all the Hispanic countries where we speak our beautiful language, the Castilian, we were on a top of technology and industry. It's just that we don't know anything about that. And when did this happen? Everything started with the overseas expansion, which happened 5 centuries ago. And this was just possible thanks to the improvements in the Navy and war. Until this moment, economic growth was too slow. But since the conquest and with her the union of the old world with the new world, international business increased at a global level. The growth was so important that we have the first international currency. The first one, yes. Before dollar, the coin that traveled all around the world was Hispanic. Yes, but we will talk about that later. So, what were the first industries? In the 16th century, the real authorities of the Kingdom of Castile promoted and celebrated the creation and development of the textile industry in America, generating for the first time the most powerful international textile industry in America. Boats full of textile products came from El Cusco, our viceroyalty of Peru, and arrived in Spain and the rest of Europe. New Spain became the first and the biggest international textile business, accounting up to 30% of the GPD, the gross domestic product, something impossible to see in the 13 colonies. On the contrary, England made sure that no industries were built in their 13 colonies. Another important industry was shipbuilding. They were all around the kingdom, and the boats were built all around the American coast. But there were two dockyards of importance, Callao and Guayaquil. Callao, as a viceregal port and the base of whatever ship the government had a big dockyard for repairing the boats. But the biggest and the most important shipbuilding and repair yard were those at Guayaquil, within reach of excellent stands of shipbuilding timber. The industry was the second most important after the cacao industry, and the shipyards were large enough to build several ships at once, and up to 100 ships could navigate this coast at any time. The materials for the boat's construction were coming from all around the kingdom. Iron came from Spain. Pitch and tar that was used to make the boats impermeable came from Mexico, and rope work and copper from Chile through Coquimbo. Mining was important for the growth and power of the Hispanic Empire. Gold, copper, and silver mines since the conquest were all around America. The rich mine of Potosi contributed to the birth of the Potosi city and the mint with the same name in 1544. Cerro Rico of Potosi during the half of the 16th centuries produced 60% of the total silver mine of the world. In 1542, Lima, the viceroyalty of Peru, was very important. It was the center of the viceroyal government and the administration of the mines of the Cerro Rico of Potosi in the viceroyalty of Peru, and also administrated the mines in the viceroyalty of New Spain, Real del Monte and Zacatecas. Those mines were the richest mine in America, and during the next 70 years, the city grew so much that it was at the same level as Londres or Paris. And now comes the classic and famous question: where is the gold? The gold, and mainly silver, is in our cities. Those were used to build our great aqueducts, cities, universities, schools. When we were the Spanish Empire, our gold, silver, and copper stay in our territory. More than 80% of the earnings specially stay in America to continue building our empire. Once the so-called independence happened, a little more than 200 years ago, our mines stayed in the invaders' hands. Today, Canadian mine industry in America earns between 50 and 100% in revenue, and they take more than 60% out of our countries. You will not see earnings like this in other kinds of industry, just in the narco traffic field. Governors from countries like Chile, Argentina, Peru, Bolivia, Mexico, Ecuador, etc., give Canadians and England's companies all the benefits they need to continue stealing our resources. So, to put this in a big picture, between 1500 and 1550, under the Spanish Empire, we built 50 great hospitals and many small ones in America. Also, cathedrals, streets, and our mints, the palaces where our coins were minted. Did you know that La Moneda, the current government house of Chile, was built to mint the first international currency, el Real de Ocho? Yes, el Real de Ocho was the first international currency and was Hispanic. Yes, it was. Our Real de Ocho was the most used coin during more than 300 years. This silver coin had a great global value. It was used in America, the Antilles, the Iberian Peninsula, the Philippines, and Equatorial Guinea. It was very well used in Asia, China, Japan, Korea, India, Indonesia. It was used even in the 13 colonies of USA. It was known as the Spanish teller and later became Spanish dollar. The coins were known as a tellers. The coin had a value per se. A Real de Ocho weighed like 27 grams and 25 were pure silver. It was introduced by Carlos I and spread in all the Spains by Felipe II. Carlos I created the Audiences of New Spain, the High Court of the Spanish Empire, that were established in 1570 in our Viceroyalty of New Spain, the current Mexico. In May 11 of 1535, the first mint in New Spain, now Mexico, was established by royal decree. During more than 300 years, the Real de Ocho was the most important international coin, but also the most and the main imported product in the North States of the New World, and the major product of importing in China, because China collected their taxes in silver, and our Real de Ocho was the coin used for those transactions. Like the palaces constructed for the coin minted, they also built universities. Did you know that the first universities in the American continent were Hispanics? Yes, the first universities in our American continent were built by the Crown of Castile. La Universidad Nacional Mayor de San Marcos de Lima, Peru, was established by royal decree on May 12, 1551. And La Real Universidad de Mexico was established by royal decree on September 21st, 1551. During our kingdom period between 1492 until around 1812, the development of art was explosive in Spanish America, specifically the Peruvian, Andean, and Novo Hispanic Baroque art. Our rich cultural mix and our fusion between natives and Spanish provoked a big interest in artists to express and develop their art. Some people will say, okay, but only the Spanish has access to art and not the indigenous people. And that is completely false. An example of this is the famous artist Caspicara, indigenous artist whose education and career was supported and paid for the viceroyal authorities of the Spanish Empire. And until today, he is recognized and admired for his job. Like this artist, there were many other important artists like Bernardo de la Garda, Pedro Hernández, Luis de Lezana, Pedro Ramírez de Mozo, Antonio de Torres, Juan Correa, Joaquín Caraballo, and many more. And if we talk about the quality of Hispanic novelists or Hispanic writers, you will find one of the most important authors, Miguel de Cervantes. He is known as an early modern Spanish writer, widely regarded as a great writer in the Spanish language and one of the world's preeminent novelists. How do the world organize help for the underdeveloped countries? Does the help exist? The powerful countries act and organize themselves through the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the World Fair Trade Organization. These three organizations compound the center of the economic global system. These three organizations are in charge of creating policies to perpetuate the underdeveloped situation in the peripheral countries and, in consequence, preventing the right way to industrialization. At the beginning, the World Fair Trade Organization was created to borrow money to countries in crisis, money that was overtaxed and they had to return it, establishing the first usury in the world. The World Fair Trade Organization and the World Bank, with their numerous organizations, is starting to get involved, progressive, and practically all the areas of the economic policies in the peripheral countries. For example, getting involved in the independence of the World Bank, suggesting decrease the army or avoiding the nuclear independence development, or interfering in programs to control their birth or abortion. An example of this was when in 1968, Robert McNamara, World Bank president, announced in Argentina that they will only give credit to the countries that control their birth. The countries in development are forced to submit or resist. The resistance is connected with the internal autonomy and capacity to decide what to do in our own territory. And the question is, are we deciding what to do in our territories? How we can be a powerful country again? Are we going to keep and work with our resources like our lithium and do something with them? Or are we going to keep the same colonial administration since the independence? Who do we depend on? It is so hard to have power if we are divided. After being so powerful, think about it. We were not colonies. We were empire. We were a kingdom. We were a prolongation of the kingdom of Castile. Being a colony after being an empire, that is what we are, unfortunately. After being the most powerful country, we became 23 small countries. A colony sent all his raw material at a very low price to his metropolis. And his metropolis, as they had the industries, transformed the raw material in a manufactured product and returned this product to his colonies, ready to sell them in a very high price, of course. And what do you think? How could we be a developed country and stop being the underdeveloped ones? Do you think that the Hispanic Union is necessary? I want to know your opinion. And I have to say thanks to the historian Marcelo Gullo and his book Insubordinación y Desarrollo. And also I want to say thank you to Santiago Hermesilla for his work and dedication to geopolitics, and his videos are always very informative. And I want to say thank you to Diego from the channel Pax Hispanica from his collaboration, and I recommended his channel. And there you can see videos with the historian Santiago Verbel, where they talk about this too. And thank you for watching this video, and I hope you subscribe. It's free, and give me a thumbs up if you like it, and see you the next time. Bye! Muchas gracias y adiós.